Hey, what's happening guys? Michael here, and today I'm going to be giving you my full review on Apple's iPad Pro. So when Apple introduced the world to its biggest ever iPad back at the September keynote, a lot of people got really excited, and then a whole lot of people just really started hating on the thing, primarily because of the Pro name that Apple attached to it. And not only that, then everybody in Apple seemed to be going out and telling all the journalists in the world that this thing could be a laptop replacement, and people just lost their freaking minds. Now, I've been using mine for about a month. I got it on day one, and while I really like it for what I do, it's pretty clear that the whole "is it a laptop replacement" question isn't exactly as black and white as most people are treating it. So let's take a look. So whenever you talk about a new Apple product, you gotta start with design, and there's no denying that the iPad is gorgeous. Apple obsesses with things like being thin and light, and the iPad Pro is no exception. It's weighing in at just 1.57 pounds and being just 6.9 millimeters thin, which is pretty astounding when you consider how much larger this thing is compared to a regular iPad. Now, the weight is distributed really nicely, making it pretty comfortable to hold, though for extended usage times, you're probably going to end up using it in landscape mode with two hands. Now, one area where iPads have always seemed to suffer is sound, and the iPad Pro fixes this in a pretty big way by having not 2 but 4 speakers, giving you some great stereo sound, and the speakers are actually what Apple's calling smart, being that they'll adjust depending on which orientation you're holding the device. But of course, the biggest difference with the iPad Pro's design is its size. It's rocking a 12.9-inch display packed with 5.6 million pixels, making it the highest resolution display of any iOS device, and it shows. Text is super crisp and photos and videos look amazing, but just be aware that when it comes to third-party games and apps, it depends on whether the developers have actually optimized for the new resolution, and occasionally you'll find yourself with apps that appear to be blown up, much the way the iPhone apps used to look on the original iPad. But I'm sure that'll get fixed over time as developers have more time with the device. So under that gorgeous hood, the iPad Pro is powered by Apple's new 64-bit A9X chip and finally 4GB of RAM, which is something that a lot of iPad users have been begging for a long time. So what does that big Retina display and all that horsepower under the hood actually get you? Well, it turns out it makes for a pretty awesome experience. The UI is super smooth and snappy as you'd expect, and while in portrait mode, iPad Pro doesn't really seem to improve on much other than the extra real estate, in landscape mode is where it really shines, as using slide over and split screen apps make quick actions and true multitasking finally worth mentioning. Now, it may seem like a simple thing, but it really does make the iPad much better suited for actual productive work, though I'd still like the ability to be able to open multiple instances of an app side by side. So even though the slide over and split screen features were introduced back in iOS 9 for the iPad Air and Air 2, it's pretty clear at this point that they were designed with the iPad Pro in mind. And with 4GB of RAM, it's really hard to slow this thing down, even when juggling back and forth between multiple apps. When it comes to graphics and gaming, the A9X chip is an absolute beast, running robust 3D games like The Room 3 without breaking a sweat, and the larger screen and deeper sound make gaming an improved experience over the previous generation iPads. Now, alongside the iPad itself, Apple released 2 accessories to help make the iPad Pro a better fit for the professional market they seem to be marketing toward. The Apple Smart Keyboard is probably the most universally needed out of the two, giving you a solid physical keyboard for those longer typing sessions and adding the ability to use your favorite keyboard shortcuts without adding a ton of bulk to the device itself. Honestly, the keyboard is the only reason that I'm able to use my iPad Pro as much as I do. Now, the Apple Pencil is definitely the more technologically advanced of the 2 accessories, and it definitely works great for art and design apps as well as photo editing software, but its usefulness is targeted at more of a niche market, and at $100 it shouldn't be an impulse buy for the average user. So okay guys, the iPad Pro has a great design, it's got a great screen, and those internal specs give it enough power to chew through just about anything you can throw at it. But the question is, who is this thing really for? And the bigger question that everybody wants the answer to is this thing a laptop replacement? Well, I think the answer is actually yes, but definitely not for everybody. First off, the iPad Pro by itself definitely can't replace a laptop. That smart keyboard is going to be an absolute must to make this thing a daily driver for just about anybody who does more than play games and peck their way through a few short emails or Facebook posts. After that, the thing you need to figure out is, can your current laptop workflow be accomplished using only iOS 9? When it comes to writing, web browsing, email, blogging, lower level photo and video editing, design and illustrations, there's a ton of really great iOS apps out there to help accomplish all these tasks. And with the ability to utilize cloud storage from different services like Google and Dropbox and iCloud, having a seamless transition between your work on your iPad and your main rig somewhere else is fairly easy. Plus, a good thing about iOS is when you're done working, you're already holding one of the best devices to play some games or catch up on movies and TV. So all that said, while I think the iPad Pro definitely has the potential to be a laptop replacement, more so than your average tech reviewer does, I definitely by no means am suggesting that this thing can be your primary computer for more than anybody but the most basic of users. You're still going to want to have a main rig on your desk or in your bag somewhere else. And when it comes down to the price of this thing, when you start factoring in which model you want to buy, add on the keyboard, add on the pencil if you need it for the design and graphics and so on, you're really getting right there close, if not exceeding, some of the laptops that Apple themselves actually sell. So at that point, it's really just going to come down to your own personal taste and which device you'd rather have in your bag on the go. So that's it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and you want to do us a huge favor, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next video.